name is Andres Martin. I first want to start off by thanking Father David and all of our priests here. They all have been leading us in this charge to defeat this evil Proposition 139. I'm so very grateful for that. I know I've been privileged to meet many priests, and I can tell you we have some outstanding priests. Thank God for that, for their virtue that they live in their everyday lives. I do want to share, Father David, beginning September 26th, will be having a special daily holy hour. All the faithful are invited to participate. So this holy hour will extend until the day before the election, which is November 4th. And then on the day of election, there will be an all-day adoration that everyone's invited to. Pray for that to abortion, to pray for a defeat of this proposition. Faithful are also invited to obviously pray, just in general, through rosaries and other prayers, but also to fast and abstain from meat on Wednesdays and Fridays. And so that invitation will start on September 27th. So we have our daily holy hour, which will begin this Thursday, September 26th, and then the very next day, we're asked to fast and abstain from meat as well. There is more information that will be in the bulletins for all of you to read, and also the FLAC notes that are sent out. When Father David had met with me to talk about speaking, there were a few things I wanted to touch upon. I asked him if I could talk about these. One was voter registration, another early voting through mail-in ballot, and then I did want to provide some updates from my last talk that I had given in April of this year, and then I did want to talk about Proposition 139. For voter registration, the deadline to register to vote is upcoming. It's October 7th. So that's in about 2 weeks. We wanted to make it as simple as possible for everyone here. We are hosting a voter registration drive after Mass, and everyone is encouraged to go there. You can check your registration status. You can sign up for early voting through mail-in ballots, and we can help you with any other questions that you may have. We plan to extend that in the coming weeks. Now, I don't know if many of you know, but we have what's referred to in Arizona as an election season. So 2 days after the voter registration deadline, voters in Arizona will start receiving their mail-in ballots. They will start voting on October 9th. Now, this is important. And a few things also I want to share with you, some details. So this year's ballot is a 2-page ballot. It's very lengthy. There could be upwards of 70 items that people have to mark. All the counties are anticipating long lines, as you can imagine. So there are a few things I wanted to share with you with regard to the benefit of voting early through your mail-in ballot. One is it's convenient. You have the ability to vote literally at your kitchen table, which I think is fantastic. The other thing that it gives you is the opportunity to really vet all these different candidates and all these many propositions that will be on the ballot. You take your time, you won't feel rushed, like you would if you were at the polling place. It's a great option. And then lastly, you have the ability to track your ballot. You can sign up for text alerts, and you'll be notified when your ballot is being prepared, when it's being mailed to you after you send it back, when the county receives it, and then further, when your vote is counted. And that gives you the assurance that your vote actually was counted. These are all good things, great benefits. So I'm encouraging everyone to participate. We want 100% participation in this general election, and voting through mail is a sure way to get that done. Now, the last time I spoke with you, I did share that my wife was pregnant with our 8th child. She was very pregnant, but I didn't say anything like she was ready to pop or the bun may have been in the oven a little bit too long, but the fact was, she was ready to pop. I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to make my talks, and literally only a few days later, we ended up having our daughter, our 8th child, Adeline Josephine Martin. She's been a tremendous blessing to me, and to all my family, and anyone that gets to see her beautiful little smile. The fact is, my daughter, with all my children, that moment when my wife and I would find out that she was pregnant, from those tiniest stages, from that moment very early on, we knew what was there. we knew what came from my wife's womb. It was a baby. It was my child. It was Eloise. It was Claire, Andrew, Brendan, Rosalie, Catherine, Marie, and Adeline. It was them. We ready to understand that science, as Father was saying, has certain terms and ways to explain the stages of development, such as a zygote or a fetus. But truth be told, what's inside a girl or a woman's belly when she's pregnant, no matter what stage of development, is a baby. I wanted to share very briefly a little bit of a story that had happened. A friend approached me back last year and was telling me about a potential proposition that would be coming to our state. And she was sharing with me some of the details, how there would be no requirement for parental consent for an underage girl to have an abortion. There would be many safeguards that are currently in place, would be removed, stripped away. There would be no requirement to have a doctor perform the abortion. And really the most grievous among all is it would allow for late-term abortions through all 9 months of gestation, up until the moment of birth. And when she told me these things, my immediate reaction was shock. I almost couldn't believe it. And then when she said, well, we're going to need a lot of help. We need a lot of people to do something about this. You know what I did? Nothing. You know what I said to her? Nothing. I was a coward. And it's not easy for a man to admit cowardice, especially knowing as a man that I am called to, as well as all men, to protect. Protect my wife, my children, and that extends beyond the family, to all children, and all other people who are defenseless. Now, I don't think many people know, at least from conversations I have, about how Proposition 139 is being ran. This is very important. It's being ran, as Father was saying, as a constitutional amendment. This supersedes law. So if Proposition 139 is passed, what that effectively means is it makes late-term abortion, unregulated late-term abortions, enshrined or memorialized or permanent in the Arizona Constitution, which essentially means forever. Now, there's been a lot of deception from the groups that are running this. They're saying, well, if this isn't passed, then women won't have the right to choose, they won't have the freedom, what have you. It's all a lie. Father was talking about lies. The fact is, if Proposition 139 does not pass, the current law in the state of Arizona is the 15-week abortion ban. That will remain in effect. And this is important to know, especially when we're talking with others. Father David mentioned something last week that was very important and very poignant. He said, what happens in the case of botched abortion? When the abortionist fails to do their job? He said, infanticide. Now, some of you may think that that's out of the realm of possibility. However, lest we not forget Herman Gosnell, the infamous Philadelphia abortionist who is now serving 3 consecutive lifetime sentences for failing to perform an abortion, botched it, and after the baby was born alive, he finished the job. That's why he's in jail. Now let's take that a step beyond. If this passes, what's not to say that doctors, and maybe it's not a doctor that's performing the abortion, the way that this is written. However, we know doctors are high achievers, probably don't like to fail. You know, accidents happen. What if that child is born alive? What will the doctor do in that situation? Are they going to call 911? Have the ambulance come to take the mother and the child to an emergency room? And then knowing they also have to foot the bill for that? And then what about the ramifications if the media gets a hold of this? That's bad for business. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they would commit infanticide, because then they would complete their job and they would get their pay. Now, some of you may be asking, why does this matter to me? The fact is, it has everything to do with every one of you, as well as I, because this is on our ballot. A friend shared with me a quote that I thought was very fitting. If Christians are not engaged in politics, decisions will be made by people who think God is irrelevant and the truth of God's works do not exist. My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, I'm asking, I'm imploring each and every one of you to participate in this year's general election, and really in all elections, but in particular right now, and to vote no on Proposition 139. Also asking that you speak with family, with friends, with neighbors, the low-hanging fruit in your lives about voting, and also voting no on Proposition 139. We have some pamphlets in the back from It Goes Too Far. It shares the information that I just shared with you in more detail. Very easy for you guys to grab extras. We're encouraging you to, and pass those out to your family and friends. We also have some Vote No on Proposition 139 signs. We're also asking you, if you want to grab some and share them with family to display them in front of their houses, you can also take some for yourself to do the same. And I'm very grateful to Linda Smith and Crystal Ostrowski for getting those for us. The fact is, we must take a position. We must act. Quite frankly, we must choose candidates who know the difference between serving the public versus destroying the public in abortion. The decisions we make today, in this moment, fact of life, will outlive us. And those decisions will either create a better or more prosperous future for my children, for your children, your grandchildren, or it'll create a darker, honestly a more hellish one for my children, your grandchildren, and for generations. I firmly believe it's not the will of the Arizona people to vote for death, but instead choose to preserve life and to uphold the dignity and inalienable rights of those tiny little boys and girls in their mother's wombs. I want to ask, will you act? Will you take a stand? Will you show up to vote? Dear brothers and sisters, we must pray, we must fast, and we must act. People of goodwill, let's go. Thank you.